let's take a look at our top selections.
Hi everybody, Mike Beer here with Grade 3 action down at the Jersey Shore on Sunday. Monmouth Park race number 11, the Grade 3 Eatontown Stakes for fillies and mares, mile and a 16th on the turf course, and we have a full field of fillies and mares for this race. Let's get the entry card up there. Full field of 12 fillies and mares entered, a few more also eligibles drawn on the far outside, waiting to get into this race. Very interesting race in a lot of ways on a weekend that's pretty slow as far as stakes action goes. This might be the most competitive race of the entire weekend anywhere. A lot of horses shipping in for top stables to run in this $150,000 Eatontown. They got a very, very good field. Headlined, I guess you would have to say it's headlined by the Chad Brown runner, and Chad has shipped in a couple of fillies to run in this race, but he's shipping in your morning line favorite, number 6, Nay Lady Nay. She is second off the layoff, second start right now as a 5-year-old for Nay Lady Nay. Just the kind of mare who, 5 for 11 so far in her career. She's already a multiple graded stakes winner. And, just a mare who, racing out of the barn that she's racing out of, which is just loaded with grade 1 quality turf horses. She's just been really, really well managed by Chad Brown. Just finds all the right spots to run her in. He's made the most out of her abilities for sure to get her several graded stakes wins. They did, eventually get her into grade 1 competition late last year. She ran fine in the Flower Bowl going longer. They took a little bit of a shot there at the Breeders' Cup at the end of the year. She had a tough post, wound up taking all the way back off the pace, and never actually really had a fair chance in that race. So, I don't want to be too hard on her for that. She came back off the layup with a solid performance in the Bogey against Harvey's Little Goyle. She's probably the horse to beat. Let's start off by taking a look at the time form U.S. pace projector for this race, because in a race like this, there's so many, it's such a big field, and it's such a well-matched field. It does sort of feel like, trips could be very important in here. And, as you can see on the pace projector there, they don't find a lot of pace in the race. It's favoring horses that are going to race on or near the early lead. And, it's hard to argue with the 3 horses that the pace projector has up front. The 9, the 11, the 12. These are all horses who, can be forward. None of them are necessarily bullets, but they do like to go forward, and having outside posts in this race, might mean that they'll just come out running, looking for position, sweep by and by the 9. It's certainly a horse who likes to be up close in her races. Sweet By and By has plenty of races that make her a major contender in a race like this one. It is at least worth pointing out that she was entered to run on Belmont Stakes weekend here in New York, had to scratch from the Intercontinental after reportedly tying up and then missed some time. We'll see if that affects her at all. She's a player in this race for sure. The 11, My Heart Belongs to Daddy, should go forward in this race. She wired a couple of New York bred stakes races last year for this trainer, Jorge Abreu. Those were very slow-paced races, but she did, go to the front to win a couple of stakes races with that running style, and it feels like she'll go forward again from her outside draw here. The 12 Vigilantes Way, I guess, could also go forward in here. She's a horse who has won in gate-to-wire fashion before. She has a pretty tough post to overcome in this race, however. Again, just a very wide open race. Trip's going to be very important in here. I don't have a big argument against the morning line favorite, Nay Lady Nay. I don't think she necessarily holds any kind of serious edge on this field. And as a matter of fact, I feel like one of the other horses in here who's, a relatively short price on the line, the number 5 Michelin, might actually be the best horse in the race. Might be a little bit better than Nay Lady Nay overall. And just, may have the form to be considered the horse to beat in here, although it's very close, obviously. Michelin is just a horse who I have a lot of love for her. I think she's a very underrated horse. She's coming out of a race in the Grade 1 Jenny Wiley at Keeneland where, she didn't run well that day. I just think you want to maybe give her a pass for that one. It was yielding turf. She didn't really seem to act on it at all. Never showed up with any kind of a run, and Luis Saez just basically let her fall out to last coming to the stretch there and didn't really ask her for that much. I'm not going to hold that race against her. Let's go 2 starts back on Michelin's card, though. This is her seasonal debut in the Hillsborough, the Grade 2 Hillsborough down at Tampa. And she's going to win this race pretty nicely, I think. Also in this race, the number 3, Morning Molly, is going to finish second to Michelin here in the Hillsborough. But you can just see, and Morning Molly runs fine in here. I'm not going to knock her. She's going to be a price in this race. It just feels like, to me, at the end of the day, Michelin was much the best in here. It's only a 3/4 of a length victory, but she was much the best in here. Wins it with a good, strong late finish. And she's getting away at the end here. I think, the margin of victory is a little bit deceptive here. Michelin just was kept on the outside, a wide trip all the way around the track. It didn't matter. Too good for those horses. if I had to nitpick Micheline at all for a horse who could take money in here, it would just be that I do slightly prefer her going longer distances. I think you could make the argument that maybe she's ultimately at her very best going 9 furlongs. I'm not going to sit here and suggest that if she loses this race going a mile and a 16th that the distance was necessarily the reason, but she is a horse who I prefer going a little bit longer in her races. I personally think she's the horse to beat, along with Nay Lady Nay. Let's take a look at a couple of the other horses in this race, because I think there are just so many talented horses shipping in from different places in here that I think you want to certainly take a close look at some of these horses. One of the races I wanted to touch on is the Dahlia Stakes, which they ran at Pimlico back at the end of April, and the top 3 finishers from that race are right back in here. We already touched on Vigilante's Way a little bit. She was the 3rd place finisher in there, but it's the 1-2 finishers I want to focus on. The 8 Xanthique is going to wind up winning this race over the number 10 Crystal Cliffs, and I think they both run really well in here. You're going to see in the stretch. They both got good trips overall. They both sat in, saving ground all the way. They both got through on the inside in the stretch. It was Crystal Cliffs who got the jump on Xanthique. She's going to make her way to the lead. She's going to turn away Vigilante's Way in mid-stretch. And then Xanthique is going to get herself into the clear late and come with a strong late finish, and she's going to nail Crystal Cliffs right on the wire. I thought they both ran well in here. I want to give a lot of credit to Xanthique for just getting up there in the late stages and getting her head down for a really nice win. And I do think Xanthique is a player in here, but it was Crystal Cliffs who maybe I just wanted to give a little bit of extra credit for, if only because that was Crystal Cliffs' first start off of a 10-month layoff. And I feel like at the end of the day, she might have just gotten a little tired, might have felt the effects of that layoff right at the end there after making the first run to take that race over and just getting tagged on the wire. I thought she ran well in a race that maybe ultimately she needed off the bench. When you go back to Crystal Cliffs' 2 starts after she shipped over here from France last summer, she ran really well in those 2 races. She won an allowance race at Churchill going 9 furlongs. Didn't break sharply in that race. You'll see that from a lot of the European imports. Steadied a little bit early and wound up sort of over behind horses. But she came clear in the stretch and she powered home with a really good finish. I liked that performance. And then she came back in the Grade 3 Regret, and she just missed a Harvey's Little Goyle after, once again, having to go to the inside and try to rally up the hedge. Just got beat that. I thought she ran really well. Missed time after that Regret. But I thought she came back last time and showed in the Dahlia that she can still run. I thought that was a good performance, and I'm going to expect her maybe to be a little bit tighter for this race, second off the left. She has post 10. She's going to need to work out a trip from out there. But I feel like if she works out a trip, she might be the one horse in here who has the most improvement still left in her. I feel like she's a horse who could really take a step forward in this race. And listen, Micheline, Nay Lady Nay, they have the credentials already to be really hard on a field like this one. But I'm going to take a little shot and try to get Crystal Cliffs home in this race, second off the layoff for Grand Motion. I went 10, 5, 6, and 7 in a really, really tough and competitive running of the Grade 3 Eatontown at Monmouth on Sunday. It's the 11th race on that card. The approximate post time is 5:02 Eastern Time. Good luck.